Hi everyone, thank you very much for being with us at this new conversation in Talks by iDigital Studios. We'll be exploring with the hand of our CEO, Rodolfo Salazar, some of the best proven strategies on this 2022 to expand your business and gain more territory for your company. Remember that as we do, you believe that creating more meaningful connections with your target audience is the best way to generate more businesses, better businesses, and connect more with the people that you want to become your clients. So stay tuned, and I hope you enjoyed this conversation. Rodolfo is the founder and president of Kudos, which is the largest independent agency in Central America. As well, he is the president and CEO of iDigital Studios. He is a board member for the entrepreneur organization in El Salvador, and before he became a full-time entrepreneur himself, he worked in sales and marketing positions for global technology and telecommunication companies such as Microsoft, Dell, Telefonica, and Stream Global Services. Rodolfo has delivered more than 130 workshops, keynotes, conferences, and presentations in 19 international stages, ranking from 40 to 1,000 attendance in Central and South America. Rodolfo has contributed on a recurrent basis for regional publications in business magazines such as Estrategia en Negocios and El Economista, and one of El Salvador's top 3 newspapers, La Prensa Gráfica. He believes that the digital transformation challenge starts with a change of mindset within the core of any organization. Digital transformation then becomes a way of life, a way of doing things, a way of building competitive advantages with technologies and the internet, a way of making traditional businesses become obsolete. Thank you very much, Rodolfo, for your time on this conversation. I think that people will be very interested in knowing how to expand their business on the internet in this 2022. How are you feeling today?
I'm fine, and I'm really happy to be here. I think that talking about growth using the internet is something that every company and every entrepreneur needs to do. And having this conversation with you today is a great thing to have.
It's very nice to know. How effective do you think is the internet in terms of expanding companies in 2022?
Internet is where we get knowledge. Internet is the place where we go out and have our reflections. Actually, every reflection we do in the world today, personal reflections, we do them in front of a screen. We either do it using the phone or using your computer. And we're actually asking very deep questions to the internet to understand things and to drive certain behaviors, even for customers and people.
Okay. I think that you were talking about that last time that we had a conversation like this, and you were mentioning that somehow people is asking very interesting questions to search engines, right? Mm-hmm. Is that what you're referring to in this case, or is it something else?
I'm referring to two things. I think that before we used to ask the hard questions to the people we trusted the most. Today, we're asking all these hard questions to the browsers and to the Googles and to any search engine because we trust the answers that the internet are giving us. Just to give you an example, about, I would say, 56% of the people search information about their diagnosis in front of a doctor. That is a shocking.
That is seen a lot.
That is a shocking statistic because You're actually in front of a doctor, the doctor tells you a diagnosis, and you are under the desk looking for the information and seeing if Dr. Google has a better answer. So anything that we have a question about, anything that we are afraid to be too intimate with someone else, we look for in the internet. Even for certain small things, when you meet someone, what you do is you Google them on the internet. When you hear about a brand, what you do? You search for the brand in the internet. So the internet becomes a place where our questions are answered today.
There is a very interesting topic, taking into account that I think that the trust issue, it's somehow in place in what you're saying. It's like, even if you're with an expert, you tend to corroborate what the expert is saying by checking on the internet whatever information is there, and then you create a match between what the expert is saying and what you find by yourself.
So the thing is that the connected era brought many changes, and one of the biggest change involved trusting the institutions that we used to trust before. Think about it. There is less and less trust for the government. There is less and less trust for any religious institution. There is less and less trust for media. People are trusting less of everything that was stated as the place to go for trust. And this is actually becoming a big shift, because you are not just getting the information from the traditional sources. You're actually getting information from hundreds of sources that you have available anywhere now in any device where you can search on the internet.
And do you think that what you're just describing right now might be the holy grail of any business? Exploring this from the point of view that maybe that mistrust gap that exists, it's where you can build on a huge business upon it.
It's not, I wouldn't call it the holy grail yet, but what I would say is that first impressions are everything. And first impressions today are in a search engine, are in the first page of a search engine. So what is my first impression of a company? Is what I search and what I find. What is my first impression of a person? Is what I search, what I find. That is the first impression. This is how people now are engaging in the way they think about you, in the way they're going to relate with you in the future.
All right. Now let's explore a practical case, so people can have a sense that there is something on this conversation that they can go and use as soon as this interview finishes. Let's say that you're a business in town, you have a couple stores, only physical stores, you might have a website, and on this website you have simple information about your business, and you're deciding this very day in 2022, that you want to grow your business through the internet. What will be the first step that you will advise that person to do?
The first thing that you do when you open a business is that you have a storefront. In a virtual world, your storefront is the your website actually. So if you don't have a place where people can find you, that you own, because now there's people saying that, well, I don't need to have a website because I have my social media site. I have a web page. My web page is my Facebook. But actually, the owner of that space
Someone else.
is someone else, is Facebook. So the first thing you need to have is a proper website. And this proper website has to have certain qualifications and certain information in order to be a website that will convert people into clients, into customers. So it's not just putting up a storefront, but putting up the storefront that you will need to grow your business, to grow in customers.
And it should be something that you own.
It should be something that you own, that is yours.
Okay. Is that because of the data that you're going to be collecting that you can use as you want? Or what are advantages you see in owning the place?
It's not only the data. Like, for example, if you rent a place and you have a clinic in the physical world, and your clinic is always full, when you move your clinic to another place and a new clinic comes in, even if it's your competitor, that competitor will gain all the clients that were used to go to your address. So the same thing, think about when you are having a Facebook strategy where everything goes to Facebook. What you're doing is you're actually pointing people to go to Facebook, not actually to your own place.
So you're working from them in a sense.
In a sense, you're working for Facebook. And well, Facebook works for you, but in a certain way. Mm-hmm. But at the end, what is better is for you to have your own place, your own specific website that has your name, or that has the name of your business or the name of your product. So people go there and get used to go and keep on going to that same address.
All right, now going on with the practical case, you have already made the decision that you want to make the expansion. You already made the decision about what is the digital asset that you will own, where people will go to. So, but you are still lacking finance to go ahead and do your plan. What would be the best recommendation for businesses looking for investors on this expansion once they have decided already the platform?
So if you're thinking about investment, if you have a new company and you're looking for investment, one of the things that is important is that you have the right reputation in place. So it's not just having that place where you can convert clients, but also having this space where third parties are talking about you, or where you are talking with third parties. And that is the social media. That is the place where everyone is actually having the conversations. So if you have a strategy that helps you build that third-party content, or that content where you engage with third parties, so you tell them what you do, where you are good at, and you have the specifics of the way you can help people, you can actually turn them into customers if you send them to your website. So one is the leverage of the other one.
All right, and how do you think it will come into place a marketing effort and in that regards?
So in terms of marketing, you need to think of, I would say first think of three spaces: your own spaces, your paid spaces, because there's also paid media that you need to engage with to have people come to your site or to amplify your voice. And then you have earned media. So it's owned, paid, and earned. The owned is everything that you have control with. The paid is the one that you pay, that this is your advertisement to amplify what you're talking about and to amplify what you're doing. And the third one is your earned media, is what you earn from the conversations, what you earn from that validation of a third party, what you earn from people talking about you or what you earn from your influence in other spaces. So the three of them together, they form an ecosystem. And this ecosystem needs to be balanced. If you do a lot of one of the three, you will have an unbalance in the force of the ecosystem. So you need to have a balanced strategy and balance of resources to have a proper strategy. Once you have those three, the three channels, if you want to see it that way, you need to think of having your strategy set up on a table that has four legs. The first leg has to do with the way people find you. That's the way people understand and find more information about you. And these are the search engines. And everything that has to do with search engines gives people the advantage of understanding who you are and where you can help them with. As we were saying before, this space is actually the space where people get the first impression of who you are or what your company is about. Then you have the second leg, has to do with influential conversations. Get into influential conversations or drive influential conversations or go where influential conversations are happening. And usually that is happening in blogs or microblogs or in videos or micro videos or where people are having their opinions talked about, and also where experts are talking. And then you have the fourth leg is your website, is your web presence. It should be strong and everything is validated. Everything that people learn in the search engine, everything that people talk about in the influence space, they reconfirm in your website. That's the fourth leg. And then the third leg. And then the fourth leg is your social media. And you know what social media is in this space? It's actually your call center. It's a place where you receive all the people that want to talk to you and the place where you talk to the people that you would like to address.
It's like a more open conversation.
Yeah.
Okay. So now you have established the decision, you have already gained the investment necessary for the expansion, and you have already worked out the influence and your public relations on the internet. Mm-hmm. Now, how you feel from marketing perspective now that you're selling out of town and in other countries? What would be the best way to create the perfect team for it?
So you can go in different directions. First direction is that you hire your own people, and you hire people that understand, and you find people that understand what you want to do, and you find experts. And that is expensive in time and resources. The second one is that you look for outsourcing. You look for people that can do, or companies that can do what you're looking for, that can actually drive your projects to a good end. And the third one would be something that is called staff augmentation. What you do is you hire people from a third party, experts that are driven by experts to help you drive your projects. So those are the three ways of doing it. And all of them have a different way of making a balance in your budget and resources.
And do you think that companies can save expenses by doing those strategies?
Yeah, so it depends on how much you need your project to be done and how fast you need it to be done. That is how much it will cost. I think that in a space and in a world like the one we have now, in a connected era, you can take advantage of not having boundaries where to go and get resources. So, for example, in staff augmentation, you can actually hire people from other countries where it's less expensive to hire. You can actually find people or companies outside of your country where, if you're in the US and you make a comparison, you go to Latin America and actually you can save from 40 to 50% of what you are paying right now in your payroll. And if you go further to other places like India or other places, you can get actually from 60 to 80% savings. Nevertheless, when you stay in Latin America, when you stay in what we call nearshore, you have the biggest advantage of the cultural approach or how close we are in terms of culture, how close we are in terms of traveling space, and how close we are in the time differences. And so at the end, when you pay less by going to India, you're actually paying more by devoting more resources in terms of time and understanding or helping someone understand your culture than if you do it in a nearshore space.
And what about the savings on the expenses it's not the same expanding your business physically than expanding it over the internet. It's very well known that you use less resources but you can achieve 10x more results.
So I wouldn't say that the internet is less expensive. What I would say is that in the internet you can do more with less. That's not like less expensive. So you can you can do more with less, and you can actually go further and amplify more with the same amount of resources that you're already doing in a traditional world.
Okay, now you have your international platform for your business. How do you care about security? Where do you begin by taking care of security?
So there are different approaches in terms of security. The first thing you need to understand is that data is more valuable than money. So everything that has to do with your privacy and your data needs to be highly secured, because that's where your ideas are, and that's where your customers' information lays. So that is the far most important thing to cover in terms of security. And then you need to cover everything that has to do of securing your digital spaces for you to keep control over them. And that's another way of looking at it and thinking about it. And then you need to think about transactions and anything that has to do with security of transactions, and how you're going to charge and how you're going to pay, and how you're going to take in the money from your customers, and how that will be a secure way of making transactions. And then you need to have also your personal space surrounded by security to understand or help understand your employees how to keep intruders or how to keep
So now that is a whole different topic, because when people is at home, they're more reachable by scammers, by people that is trying to hack their computers, and that is a real challenge for all the companies, because they are trying to protect the information of their customers, of themselves. But then there is these people surrounding. And I remember that a couple of weeks ago you had an interview on TV where you were talking about this kind of security at homes. In this world that people is working from home. Could you please share with us some of those thoughts that you were sharing in that interview right now?
Yeah, so that is more on a personal level. People need to understand that their data is important to be kept, and they need to understand how to keep away from how to keep wrongdoers away from their passwords and away from the access of their social media accounts. So the best way of doing that is having a two-step verification on any social media account, and also never use the same email address for all your social media. In fact, the email address I use is not public for anyone, and I don't use my corporate email, I don't use my personal email. I use a special email just for social media that nobody knows. It's just me. So your accounts are kept safe, and little by little, there are many other ways of helping us to improve our security. Just follow instructions in social media.
All right, thank you very much. Now changing the topic a little bit, I would like to explore how this expansion of your business can happen on the metaverse. I know you have been educating people about the metaverse in the past few weeks, and I would like to know your point of view on that.
So Web 2.0 was built on connecting people and on interaction, and it was built on knowledge, and it was built on the cloud, it was built on mobile, and Web 3.0 is an evolution of that. Everything that happened when Web 2.0 came built different opportunities for everyone. And if you see, everything changed from Web 1.0 to Web 2.0. Everything is going to change again with Web 3.0. And part of Web 3.0 is the metaverse. One of the biggest changes is that Web 2.0 was big on knowledge. Web 3.0 is going to be big on anything that has to do with economics, because you will be able to own parts of the web. You will be able to own your own content, will be yours, and you will have smart contracts that will be extended with every piece of content that you build. So, and this will be enabled by blockchain. So this is one of the biggest enablers of possessions on the virtual worlds. The other thing that will happen is that everything that we are using today to interact in the internet will be changing little by little to sensors, haptic devices or haptic systems, and also it will change to virtual reality or augmented reality systems. So we will have different devices outside and with our own bodies, sometimes on the walls, where we will be able to interact with this extended world. And if you have an extended world, your opportunities will multiply by the hundreds. And like, for example, today we have more physical products in the world than digital products. In about 3 years, we're going to have a lot more digital products than physical products. And that poses an amazing opportunity. One of the things that really caught my eye was how concerts in the virtual worlds are happening today.
That's a massive success these days.
It's incredible to see that right now an artist can gather 100,000 people in one space, a physical space, but in the meta world, in the virtual worlds, you can gather more than 27 million people, like Ariana Grande did in her concert about a year ago. So think about it, opportunities multiply by hundreds.
Now, there is something that I would like to clarify. 2 questions, actually. Number 1, do you see that happening this year? That would be the first question. And question number 2, it's there is after the release of the video of Facebook, many people think that the metaverse is something exclusively related to Facebook. Is that the case?
So I see this already happened.
Yes, it's happening now.
It's already happened. It's already happened. This has already happened. It's going to be building up and growing faster and faster as the time moves on. Right. And it's not just about Facebook, and it's not just about one device. It's not about goggles, virtual goggles. It's not about. It's device agnostic. It's platform agnostic, and it's something that today is in the making. So we have different concepts today, and you will hear different concepts. If you go to the dictionary, you will have a concept of the metaverse. But I think that in the following 3 years, we're going to evolve that concept into what is being created today.
All right. So it's not, since we have already established that it's not something exclusive from Facebook, then everyone can go in, right? And if it is something on the making, that means that there is room for investment. Where do you think the investment can be on this 2022 on the metaverse world?
So there are many ways of investing in the metaverse today. The first and far more easy way of investing in the metaverse is thinking about an NFT and looking for an NFT to buy. And right now there are NFTs that could go from $20 and more, depending on what platforms or where you buy them. And again, I'm talking equivalent in dollars because usually you buy them with cryptocurrency. There's also spaces that you can buy land in the metaverse. Actually, I bought some land in the UHive, which is one of the metaverses, and I spent about $60 worth of land, and I bought 4 different pieces of land in that virtual world. If you go to other spaces like the Sandbox or Decentraland, it's a little bit more expensive, but again, it's not as expensive as real land yet. And since it's limited, the amount of land in those worlds, whatever you pay today, if it's still worth living in that virtual space in the near future, it will be worth more because of the limitations.
Now, let me ask you this. If people that is watching us is thinking, well, how investing in real estate on the metaverse will help my business to growth, what would be your answer to them?
So my answer is this, is that the world today calls out to make small experiments with what you already know, and small experiments that will potentiate what you do. So if what you already know can be applied to buying space in the virtual world and to build something there, you are probably making a bet that would be profitable in the future. But again, since it's an experiment, you will be learning also, and whatever you do, even if at the end it does not pay, you're already being paid because you are understanding the dynamics of this new world that's coming really fast. So, like Jeff Bezos said last time in one of his letters, he writes a letter to all his employees every year. He was talking about how much experimentation a company should do. And he said that the bigger the company, the more the company should experiment, and the more investment should be experiencing in doing new things. You know, Amazon, if you look at it, if you look at the company, they have experimented in so many things today, and they have failed in 80-90%. And they understand that experimentation is also about failing. And if you don't fail, you don't learn. And if you don't learn, you don't grow. And if you want to grow fast in this virtual world or in this connected space, you need to experiment, and you need to understand that sometimes you will not gain more than just knowledge.
Well, I think that what you're saying is so mind-blowing because it gives room for so many different options that companies can explore. Being, I think, the first one and the particular one that I think can be more profitable in the future into their own world on the metaverse. So a way where people can go and have a direct experimentation with that business, with their products, with whatever they have to offer to the consumer, and they can become in love with them just by them doing that. Do you consider that creating your own world in the metaverse has a good return on investment for this year?
I think that this year is still, and again, in an experimentation phase. So whatever you do and whatever experiment you start today, there's no way of knowing how it will turn out. And I'm sure that many people will say, no, it will turn out right. You will have a better, that investment will pay and so on. But I'm not able to say that today. But I am sure that if you study, if you understand, if you sit down with the people that understands this, you will be able to find that place where you can experiment and really have a profit in a short term.
Now, my last question is, what will be that non-negotiable practice from businesses in this 2022 in order to expand their business online?
So the non-negotiable practice, I would say, go digital. It's non-negotiable. If you don't go digital, you will go broke. The world is for the companies that will go digital or that are going digital today. The sooner, the faster, the better you go digital, the higher will be the probability that your company will stay in the market, number one. And number two, that your company will grow in an exponential way somewhere around the connected space.
And finally, what will be your words of wisdom at the end of this conversation for the audience?
Well, what I would tell you is that knowledge is out there. If you don't know how to do something, search for it. If you don't understand it, look for someone that can help you understand the concept. And once you know, once you have the information and the knowledge, go and do it. What are you waiting for? Don't just stay there looking at other people or your competition doing what you should be doing today.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you, and I hope to see you soon again.
Bye, everyone.